You're driving home after a long day, the sun is setting, and you're mentally checking off your to-do list for tomorrow. Suddenly, those unmistakable red and blue lights start dancing in your rearview mirror. Your heart drops into your stomach. You check your speedometer. You were only going 5 miles over. You pull over, put on a polite smile, and prepare to be the most cooperative citizen the officer has ever met. You think that by being helpful, chatty, and honest, you're going to talk your way into a warning. But instead, you are walking straight into a legal minefield. Fast forward 3 months, and you are sitting in a lawyer's office, staring at a mountain of paperwork, facing a suspended license, and realizing that your polite interaction is going to cost you over $5,000 in legal fees, court costs, and insurance hikes. And the worst part, it wasn't because of the speeding. It was because of a single catastrophic mistake you made in the first 60 seconds of that stop. As a lawyer who spends every day fighting these exact cases, I am going to show you the trap that the police are trained to set, why your honesty is actually a high-priced confession, and how one simple phrase can save you $5,000 in your entire future. Most people approach a traffic stop like a social encounter. You see an officer as a fellow member of the community who is just doing their job. While that might be true on a personal level, legally, the moment those lights go on, that officer is no longer your neighbor. They are a government agent conducting a formal criminal investigation. Their primary goal during those first 60 seconds is not to give you a warning or to keep the roads safe. It is to gather evidence. They are looking for any articulable reason to escalate a simple speeding ticket into something much more serious, like a search of your vehicle or an arrest. The mistake that costs $5,000 happens when you forget that this is an adversarial process. So let's get right into the heart of the mistake. The officer walks up to your window, looks you in the eye, and asks the most expensive question in the English language. Do you know why I pulled you over today? Your instinct is to say something like, well, I might have been going a little fast, or I know my registration just expired. I'm sorry. To you, this feels like taking responsibility. You think the officer will appreciate your honesty and let you go. But in the world of law, you have just provided a voluntary, recorded confession to a crime. You have just waived your right to contest that ticket in court. My job as your lawyer just became 10 times harder because I can't argue that the officer lacked a reason to stop you when you've already admitted to the infraction on body cam footage. But the real financial damage happens in the next phase of the trap. Once you admit you were a little fast, the officer starts the fishing expedition. They'll ask, where are you coming from? And where are you headed? Most people think this is just small talk to pass the time while the officer waits for the computer to check their license. It's not. This is a targeted interrogation designed to find inconsistencies. If you tell the officer you're coming from work, but he sees a gym bag and a grocery receipt on the seat, he's going to mark you down as deceptive. Once he labels you as deceptive, he has the reasonable suspicion he needs to ask for a search. He'll say, you don't mind if I take a quick look in the back, do you? Just to make sure there's nothing I should know about. This is where the $5,000 mistake is finalized. You say yes, go ahead, because you have nothing to hide. You think that by consenting you're proving your innocence. Here is what actually happens. A car search is not a quick look. It is a systematic dismantling of your privacy. They will pull up your floor mats, go through your glove box, rummage through your personal bags, and potentially even pull out the upholstery if they claim they smell something. If they find a single thing that you didn't even know was there, maybe a prescription pill that fell out of a bottle 6 months ago, or a small tool that a previous owner left behind that is classified as paraphernalia in your state, you are now being handcuffed. The cost of a criminal defense lawyer for a simple misdemeanor or a contested search starts at $3,000 as a retainer in many jurisdictions. Add in the cost of bail, the fee to get your car out of the impound lot, the court fines, and the fact that your insurance company is going to triple your rates for the next 3 years, and you are easily over the $5,000 mark. All of this because you tried to be helpful by answering questions you weren't legally required to answer and giving consent for a search that should never have happened. The police use a psychological tactic called implied authority. They don't always order you to do things, they ask in a way that makes you feel like you don't have a choice. You don't mind if I look in here? Isn't a command. It's a request. But because they are wearing a badge and a gun, most people feel a deep internal pressure to say yes. You have to realize that you are allowed to say no. In fact, you should say no. Refusing a search is not an admission of guilt. It is an exercise of your constitutional rights. If the officer had the legal right to search your car without your permission, they wouldn't be asking for it. They are asking because they they don't have enough evidence to do it legally, and they need you to bridge that gap for them. Let's talk about the plain view doctrine. This is a legal loophole that enables an officer to search your car without your consent if they see something obviously incriminating from where they are standing. The $5,000 mistake here is leaving anything, even legal things, in plain sight that could be misinterpreted. I had a client who was arrested because he had a roll of small plastic jewelry bags on his passenger seat. He used them for his hobby of coin collecting. Those bags were evidence of intent to distribute. That one observation gave the police probable cause to tear the whole car apart. Keep your car's interior spotless. If an officer has to squint or move their head to see something, it usually isn't in plain view. Another massive financial drain is the extended detention. There is a Supreme Court case called Rodriguez v. United States, which states that the police cannot hold you for a single minute longer than is necessary to complete the mission of the traffic stop. Once they have checked your license and decided whether to give you a ticket, you are legally supposed to be free to go. But many officers will hand you your license and then say, "Hey, before you go, can I ask you one more thing?" If you stay and answer, you have just re-engaged in a voluntary interaction. The clock stops. They can now hold you there for an hour while they wait for a drug dog to arrive. The moment that officer hands you back your documents, you need to ask, "Officer, am I free to go?" If the answer is yes, you put the car in gear and leave. Every extra second you spend talking is an extra second for something to go wrong. The K9 trap is one of the most expensive and frustrating parts of police law. If a dog alerts on your car, you are going to be searched, and there is almost nothing you can do about it at the scene. But keep this in mind. Drug dogs are not perfect machines. They are animals that want to please their handlers. If a handler subconsciously points at a door handle or pauses too long in one spot, the dog will sit or bark to get its reward. This is called false alerting. If you consented to the search just to get it over with, you can't fight that false alert in court later. But if you refused consent and the officer forced the search based on a dog alert, your lawyer can subpoena the dog's training records. If that dog has a high failure rate, we can get that $5,000 case dismissed. But again, this only works if you didn't say yes at the start. I want to address the helpful citizen fallacy. You might think, I have nothing to hide, so why not just let them look? It's faster. Here is the problem. You don't know what nothing to hide means to a trained investigator. You might have a legal hunting knife in the glove box. You might have a passenger who dropped something under the seat. You might have a bottle of CBD oil that actually has enough THC in it to trigger a felony charge in a strict state. When you give consent, you are responsible for everything in that car, whether you knew it was there or not. Why would you bet $5,000 or your freedom on the hope that your car is 100% clean by police standards? The interrogation phase of a stop is where many people fail. The officer will ask where you work, where you're going, and who you're seeing. They are trying to find conflicting stories. If you have a passenger, they'll pull the passenger out and ask them the same questions. If you say you're going to the mall and your passenger says you're going to the movies, the officer is going to use that as evidence of criminal intent. Even though you might just be confused, to the law, you are now a suspect. The only way to win this game is to not play. You are not legally required to discuss your travel plans. You can politely say, "Officer, I'm not discussing my day today. I stuck like to get my ticket and be on my way." Please so. Politeness is your best friend. Being a jerk is another mistake that can lead to an expensive outcome. If you are aggressive, the officer is going to look for every possible violation to charge you with. They will check your tire tread depth, your window tint percentage, and your license plate light. They will turn a $40 speeding ticket into a $400 equipment violation spree. You can stand your ground and protect your rights while being incredibly respectful. "I'm sorry, officer. I don't consent to any searches" is much more effective than "you can't search my car. I know my rights." One sounds like a professional citizen. The other sounds like someone who's been watching too many movies and is likely hiding something. Let's talk about the phone password mistake. In the age of digital evidence, your phone is the most valuable thing in your car. Some officers will ask for your phone to check your GPS or to see a photo you just took of them. Never, and I mean asterisk, never asterisk, give them your passcode or unlock your phone. Your phone contains your private messages, your banking info, and your entire history. If you unlock it, you have essentially consented to a search of your digital life. The Supreme Court has ruled that they need a warrant to search a phone. But if you help them by unlocking it, they don't need the warrant anymore. Keep your phone locked and out of sight. The DUI trap for sober drivers is one of the most expensive legal battles I handle. A driver is pulled over for something minor. They are nervous, and their eyes are a little red because they've been working all day. The officer claims they smell alcohol or hear slurred speech. They ask the driver to step out for field sobriety tests. Most people do these tests because they think failing to do them is an admission of guilt. In many states, these roadside gymnastics tests are voluntary. You can refuse to walk the line or stand on one leg. Why should you refuse? Because these tests are highly subjective. The officer is the one who decides if you passed or failed. If you stumble because of the wind, or because you're nervous, or because the ground is uneven, the officer will write subject failed the test. That failure is used to justify an arrest. Refusing the roadside test might lead to an arrest, but it leaves the prosecution with much less evidence to use against you in court, making that $5,000 defense much more likely to succeed. Wait, what about the warning bait? This is a classic. The officer says, "Look, I'm just going to give you a warning for the speeding, but first, do you have any weapons or drugs in the car? No. Then you don't mind if I just do a quick check to verify that?" This is a psychological trick. They are making you feel like you owe them for the warning. You think if you say no, they'll change their mind and give you the ticket. Let me tell you a secret. If they were going to give you a ticket, they already wrote it in their head. If they were going to give you a warning, they already decided that too. Never trade your constitutional rights for a possible warning on a traffic ticket. A speeding ticket costs a few $100s. A search leads to situations that cost $5,000. Do the math. The passenger responsibility is something people often overlook. If you have people in your car, you are legally responsible for the environment of that vehicle. If your passenger starts acting furtive, reaching under the seat or acting frantic, the officer can use their behavior to justify searching your car. Before you let anyone in your car, you need to make sure they understand the rules. If we get stopped, keep your hands visible, stay still, and don't say a word. Many $5,000 mistakes are caused by a passenger who thought they were being funny or helpful, but ended up giving the officer a reason to enter the vehicle. We also have to talk about pretextual stops. This is when a cop pulls you over for something tiny, like a dangling air freshener or a license plate frame that covers the state name because they actually suspect you of something else, but don't have the proof. They are hunting for a reason to search you. The officer will be extra nice to try and get you to lower your guard. They are waiting for you to make that first 60-second mistake. They want you to apologize. They want you to admit fault. And they want you to talk. The more you talk during a pretextual stop, the more you are feeding the predator. Be legalistically boring. Don't give them a single adjective to use in their report. The search incident to arrest is another way your rights can vanish. If an officer arrests you for anything, even something minor like an outstanding warrant for an unpaid fine, they are allowed to search your immediate wingspan for weapons. But often, they use this as an excuse to search the entire car. The $5,000 mistake here is not being aware of your own legal status. Check your license status and make sure you don't have any surprise warrants. If they have a reason to arrest you, they have a reason to be in your car. Don't give them that opening. I've seen families lose their entire emergency fund because of a single interaction on the side of a highway. It's not just the lawyer's fee, it's the collateral consequences. If you are arrested, you might lose your job. If your car is impounded, you might not be able to get to work. If your name is in the paper for a possession charge that eventually gets dismissed, your reputation is still damaged. All of this is part of the total cost of a traffic stop mistake. Your silence isn't just about being cool, it's a vital financial decision. The furtive movement trap is especially dangerous at night. If you reach for your registration as the officer is walking up, he can't see what you're grabbing. He might claim he saw you shoving something under the seat, which gives him the right to pull you out and perform a protective sweep of the car for weapons. To avoid this, keep your hands on the steering wheel until the officer asks for your documents. Then say, "Officer, my documents are in the glove box. May I reach for them now?" This one sentence removes his ability to claim your movement was suspicious or alarming. It keeps the stop focused on the paperwork and away from the search. Knowledge is the only thing that levels the playing field. The police go through months of training on how to secure confessions and how to find probable cause. Most citizens have zero training on how to protect themselves. You are essentially a high-stakes player in a game where you don't know the rules. But now you do. You know that silence is a shield. You know that consent is a waiver of your power. And you know that the first 60 seconds define the next 6 months of your life. The Fourth Amendment wasn't written to protect criminals. It was written to protect all of us from the unlimited power of the government. When you refuse a search, you aren't being difficult. You are being a patriot. You are holding the government to the standard that the founders intended. If the police want to search you, they should have to prove to a neutral judge that they have a good reason. By bypassing that through consent, you are making the judge and the Constitution irrelevant. Think about the reciprocity's trap one more time. The officer says, "Help me out here, and I'll help you out." I have seen the police help out a consenting citizen exactly 0 times. If they find something, you're going to jail. If they don't find something, you get the ticket. There is no scenario where giving up your rights makes your legal outcome better. It only makes the officer's job easier, and your defense more expensive. Another hidden cost is civil asset forfeiture. If the police search your car and find a large amount of cash, say, $3,000 you were going to use to buy a used car, they can seize that money even if they never charge you with a crime. They just have to suspect. The money was involved in illegal activity. Getting that money back can cost you more in legal fees than the money itself is worth. This is part of the $5,000 mistake. By consenting to a search, you are exposing your property to being taken by the state without a conviction. The body cam is your best witness, but it only works if you speak up. When you say, "I do not consent to this search," you are creating a permanent record that your lawyer can use. If you just stay silent and let it happen, the officer can claim later that you impliedly consented by your body language. You have to use your words. Be clear, be audible, and be firm. That recording is the DNA of your defense case. If the DNA shows you were a compliant but rights-aware citizen, the prosecutor is much more likely to drop the case before it even goes to trial. I want you to visualize the next time you get stopped. The lights go on. You pull over. You turn on the interior light if it's dark. You put your hands on the wheel. You roll down the window just enough to talk and pass documents. You say, "Hello, officer," and then you stop. You don't offer an excuse. You don't guess how fast you were going. You don't tell them where you're coming from. You provide the ID, you decline the search, and you ask when you're free to go. That's it. That is the professional stop. It's boring, it's short, and it saves you $5,000. The $5,000 mistake is ultimately about control. The officer wants to control the narrative. They want to lead you down a path of admissions and consent. When you stand your ground, you take the control back. You decide what information the government gets to have about you. You decide whether your car remains a private space or becomes a public crime scene. In a world where so much is out of our control, your Fourth Amendment rights are one of the few things you actually own. Don't give them away for free on the side of a road. Protecting yourself isn't just about the money. Though $5,000 is a lot of money, it's about dignity. Being searched on the side of a road, with your belongings tossed on the pavement while people drive by and stare, is a humiliating experience. It makes you feel like a second-class citizen. You can prevent that humiliation by simply saying no. It's a powerful word. It's a word that built this country. And it's a word that will keep your wallet full and your record clean. In conclusion, a traffic stop is a test of your knowledge and your discipline. The mistake isn't being a bad person. It's being an uninformed person. By treating every stop as a formal investigation, by refusing to provide voluntary evidence, and by staunchly protecting your private space, you are avoiding the financial and legal trap that so many others fall into. A warning and goes home to their family with their bank account intact. The $5,000 mistake is only a mistake if you didn't know the rules. Now that you know, the power is yours. Thanks for being an informed citizen. and stay safe out there on the roads. Your freedom is worth a lot more than a quick look in the trunk. See you in the next one.